It's almost a running joke at this time. Episode 4. And, if you got questions or things you want me to rant about for 10 to 20 minutes, go ahead and leave a comment about the topic or the question, and I will get to it eventually. I have so much content to get through. So I'm just gonna not read off my previous written notes for I have a bunch of topics just written down to read about, and instead I'm going to focus on the stories thus far because I didn't really go into much detail before. And I looked over the footage to see what is going to be the background stuff for this video, and it's going to be some Cyrus stuff. My favorite nerd. So, going over Tressa's story, because honestly, Therion's is... Okay, so Therion's backstory so far, not that interesting. Yeah, I get it. He got screwed. He doesn't like the idea of friendship. He's like, oh, partner, you. And I'm like, what are you, homophobic or something? But I do believe he does gay a bit with Elfin, or he's got some dialogue. I don't know, he flirts or something. They offer each other drinks or something. It's just adorable, and it's like, man, you sure you don't want a partner? So anyway, his backstory is less interesting to me than his current story. He starts out in some Boulder town, but Boulder's spelt wrong or something like that, and it's just a den of thieves and a hive of scum and villainy, and he's literally on the lower rungs of this just cliffside. It seems cliffside, right? Yeah, it seems like they're in the sides of the cliff, and then rich people get to live where the sun is, or at least in sunlight. And his current story is pretty good. The whole nobles setting up a honey trap for him, in which he got stuck and then got a piece of jewelry stuck on him, and a butler. I'm assuming the butler was some kind of. He gives me Alfred vibes, where it's like, yeah, I was SAS or some shit like that, and it's like, what secret service was this dude a part of, or like, I don't know. He's probably some like legend. He's the legendary mercenary big boss turned into a butler. Yeah, his that current story going pretty good. I enjoy it. I hope to see more soon-ish. I'm trying to get everybody first, and then we're gonna go over and do everybody's second missions and stuff because it seems like that's like early 20s in the leveling scheme. The Tressa story really touching in a way. As I said before, as I joked before, it's really rare to see an RPG protagonist that has living parents, because generally speaking, a good way to have somebody wander the world as a killer for hire is to make sure that they don't have social attachments that keep them bound to normal living. Most Let's take Dragon Age for example, Dragon Age Origins, because you join up with the Grey Wardens in every single Origin. Yeah, you either just straight up lose your parents or you gotta leave because some shit went down. It's like, cause let's see, okay, if you're a human noble, your parents die, and I think your elder brother's off doing war or some shit. I think your cousin or a nephew or some shit dies too, and everybody you flirted with or tried to flirt with died too, and your dog lives. That's cool. Dwarf commoner, I think your dad just fucked off or some shit. Your mom's a drunk, and your sister, uh, what's a what's a gentle way to put it? There's no real good way to put it. I have too much baggage with my own family to say it in a way that doesn't come off poorly. But she's it's really just a situation of where it's just like you just want the best for her, and like it's less bad than what my birth giver did and some other people in my family have done, but it's very much like, oh honey, you could have done something else with your life. That wasn't that. The dwarven noble, I want to say your mom died in childbirth or some shit, and then I think your dad eventually fucking does the ultimate gamer move and dies or something like that. Uh, I don't want to. Yeah, fuck it. If you're watching me, just assume I'm gonna spoil everything in existence. I'll just spoil it at the drop of a hat. I just assume that if I mention something, I'm gonna spoil it. Just anything. Darth Vader. You want to know what that fucker is? He's the dad of Luke Skywalker. I know, right? You couldn't believe it. It's just this burn victim, this 6'7" something burn victim dude. Yeah, his son's a twink farmer boy. So anyway, back to Therion. I think we're covering enough about Therion. I can't wait to see more of it. Tressa, back to Tressa, because Tressa has living parents. Living parents, interesting. Her mom is oddly Minnesotan. She nearly says, "Ooh, you betcha." She's got that accent. And I'm like, everybody else is this is kind of like salty sailor, and she's, oh, so Midwestern. I'm from Michigan, so it's just like, oh, my distant cheese-lusted cousins. Man, I gotta go over there sometime. There's some big RPG store over there. It was advertised in Hunter the Parenting, and oh boy, it's big. Like, it's like a warehouse. It's like a small, big warehouse. It's like a... I live rural. I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere. So I'm like, I don't know. Is it a small warehouse? Like, what counts as a big warehouse? How many semi-trucks need to fit in it? Most RPG protagonists have a social disconnect in which they do not have a stable home life, which sends them going on adventures in which violence is their primary method of interaction with the world. There are very few RPGs I can think of in which yeah, violence is just the assumed in pretty much every RPG I've ever played. Even New Vegas, my favorite one, you technically can be pacifist. Basically everything, once you fucking dead though. And you miss out on a good chunk of the content if you don't engage in violence. It's very much... RPGs are very much in worlds in which if violence isn't the norm, there is also a disconnect, but this time it's between the player and the world. Because surely, if trade is this goddamn difficult, how do cities exist? Like, man, I can't go more than like 30 seconds running around in Skyrim. On the roads, at least. Before running into something that wants me dead. Or at least I can see it in the distance. I'm like, man, those are just fucking hag ravens or something. And like, apparently Draugr can come out at night and just get people, I guess? Or at least children's stories. That would have been neat, though. Just having Draugr just like at night, like showing up little zombie dudes. Kind of like, Daggerfall, I believe, where at night the undead armies of King whatever Daggerfall dude, they would come out and do all kinds of stuff. I mean, it'll probably come up again. I'm probably gonna repeat stuff over and over again. I have horrible memory. I have had more concussions than I have digits, and I nearly share a birthday with the Elder Scrolls. I believe I'm older by 5 days or something like that. And it's just... I have a special connection with the Elder Scrolls. I remember when I first learned about the Elder Scrolls, it was Morrowind. And the reason I learned about Morrowind was... let's see... If I had disowned my birthgiver by 2010... When did GTA 4 come out? That was... let's say, I was placed into the care of my grandparents around 2008. That seems like a good year that happened. And so, it's before 2008, so... Let's say, for the fuck of it, because I believe it was after San Andreas, so after 2004. So between 2004 and 2008, let's say 2006. Let's just say 2006. I believe that was also that might have been the year the release of Oblivion, though I wouldn't play that until like 2008 or so. So yeah, that's pretty neat. But yeah, anyway, that year there was There was a neighbor at the apartments that my birth giver lived in before her husband died because of. Nearly all of my parents have died because of reasons I tried to tell them not to die from. His was heart failure. I remember waking up that day and looking at him, and he was turning blue and shit. And I was like, hey, you should probably go to the hospital. And then I looked at my birth giver after he, stepdad was like, nah, I'm fine. I'm like, he's going like purple, and that's not good. I knew he had a heart condition even then. My, yeah. And, my neighbor, sometime before that, he was playing a game which you went around, and I think he was in Balmora or he was in Vivek. I can't quite remember. I remember the architecture on the inside, and they're not dissimilar. The internal architecture of Vivek the city and Balmora, they're not dissimilar styles on the inside. And I remember that he was able to touch pillows and take them. And games generally didn't let you just grab shit, just have them, just take them, like take pillows, take tea sets or whatever off the table. And I was like, that's just so interesting to me. It might have been another game. It could have been Thief. It might have been Thief. I think it was Morrowind though, because I remember him going out and I was like, man, it's like real foggy out there. And it was just, oh yeah, the punchline is he was a crack addict. But then I got distracted by the dead stepdad thing. Yeah, he smoked crack. I remember fondly looking back, and he would mention going off to smoke crack and then lighting explosives off in the middle of nowhere. These were wonderful times. They were the best of times. They were the worst of times. And yeah, I was introduced to Morrowind by a crack smoker who hated. Yeah, he was a piece of shit. Yeah, I don't have any kind words for him.
It's me, Cyrus.
He's probably dead by now. So anyway, living parents. I can't even remember why I started talking about Morrowind. You will find that I am very much like this. Tressa's story, living parents. I share birthday with. I share birth month and birth year with the Elder Scrolls. Why did I bring up Morrowind? I can't remember. Tressa's story in general, very touching. You know, fuck it. This episode's gonna be the Tress episode. Next episode, I'll probably do like Cyrus' story, and I'll go on a ramble about some of the fucking library or something. He fucking loves books. Anyway, so her long story short, she is very much wanderlusted because she's grown up in this like port town where she gets tastes of the broader world. But she also has a home life in which she stands to inherit. I think it's a general store. It's like a professional store. And so she's fairly well set in life. But she wants more, and she can have more. She is very. People talk shit about her story because it's so lighthearted and stuff. But there's nothing wrong with being lighthearted. A lot of Miyazaki stories are lighthearted, even the ones that have darker elements. And at its heart, Tressa's story is one of a young person who understands their value, understands that there's more out there than just what they were raised to do, and wishes to go and be part of something bigger than what they've only experienced in their lives. And that is something that a lot of people don't get to do. She is fairly privileged, and I think that's what some people might take issue with.
Many thanks.
But she's never. Her privilege is never in such a way that she undervalues other people, from what I can tell. She's rather kind. She. Her special ability is that she can enter trade deals with most NPCs. And they seem to be not always in her favor. And in fact, as part of role playing, I try to decide if I'm going to steal using Therion, or if I'm going to trade using Tressa. And as I become less poor in the game, I lean more and more towards Tressa's trades than Therion's stealing. So long as the character, like, you can infer stuff from the character and be like, yeah, they're kind of shitty. So I'm like, he doesn't need this. Or if it's like a little kid who's like, oh, it would be nice if my mama could have medicine. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy all your stuff, and hopefully my discount doesn't kick in so you get the total value. But yeah, that's just a story. See you next time.